I did not even know his last name. And yet, there I was, sneaking out of my warm house at midnight, past the creaking floorboards, past my sleeping husband of 30 years, to go meet a 20-year-old stranger behind an old gas station. My hands trembled, not from fear, from anticipation. Howard had just kissed my forehead a few hours earlier, told me to get some rest, and even made me a cup of chamomile tea. I left it sitting there, still warm, because the woman I had become did not want tea. She wanted fire. And in that moment, I was ready to burn everything down just to feel alive again. But I had no idea how much of myself would turn to ash, especially when I found out what Byron had been hiding. Before I continue, let me take a moment to thank you for watching and supporting this channel. To everyone who has subscribed, thank you deeply. You are the reason I keep coming back with these stories. And for all our new and returning viewers who are yet to subscribe, I truly cannot wait for you to hit that subscribe button right now. It means the world. It is the fuel that powers this channel. Also, please do not forget to engage in the comments. I want to hear your thoughts. Share what you feel. Let us keep the conversation real and raw. Now, let me tell you how it all began. My name is Megan. I am 55 years old. I live in a quiet town in West Virginia where the roads are familiar and the silence is dependable. For 30 years, I have been married to Howard, a man of gentle spirit, consistent kindness, and old-fashioned loyalty. He is the kind of man who folds laundry without being asked, who fills your gas tank before you even notice it is empty. He has never raised his voice at me, never made me cry in pain, only in gratitude. But peace can feel like prison when your heart starts to itch for something wild. I never expected to feel that way. Not after all we had survived: children, illness, layoffs, aging parents. We had made it. We were the strong couple in everyone's eyes. But deep inside me, something shifted. I stopped laughing the way I used to. I started looking at my reflection and seeing someone I no longer recognized. Then I met Byron. He was just a blur at first, a flash of youth across the corner of my eye while I sat alone in a local music bar, sipping something I had no business drinking. He was behind a counter, wiping down beer glasses, arms covered in tattoos, a chain swinging from his belt. His eyes met mine, and instead of looking away, he smirked. I should have walked out, but instead, I stayed until the place closed, and talked to him like I was 20 again. He called me ma'am the first time. I told him not to. He smiled like he had just won something. He never asked if I was married, and I never said that I was. It started with messages. Then it moved to secret drives. Then one night, I told Howard I was going to see my friend Karen in Charleston. I kissed him goodbye, and I drove to meet Byron instead. That night, Byron leaned into my car window, looked me dead in the eyes, and said, "Are you ready to be someone else for a while?" I said yes, and I did not realize that version of me would come at a cost I could never take back. Byron did not know I liked sunflowers or that I cried during old movies. He never asked about my job, my kids, or even where I lived. And that was exactly why I kept going back. Being with him was like stepping out of my life and borrowing someone else's skin. In the daytime, I was Megan, the faithful wife, the good neighbor, the woman who organized church bake sales. At night, I became someone I barely recognized. Someone who wore lipstick darker than she ever dared. Someone who turned her phone off and threw caution out the window just to hear a boy with a motorcycle laugh at her jokes. It was not just the thrill, it was the power. I was invisible in my own home, but with Byron I felt seen. Even if it was just through the lens of lust and novelty. Even if he never truly looked deeper. Howard started noticing things. I came home late once and told him traffic had been awful. He looked at me and said, You have never lied to me before." I laughed it off, changed the subject, kissed his forehead, but the guilt stayed with me, curling in my stomach like spoiled milk. Still, I did not stop. Byron was chaos wrapped in confidence. He once picked me up in a car that smelled like gasoline and cheap cologne. We drove up the hills, music blaring, and he asked if I ever wanted to disappear for a weekend. He made me feel dangerous, desired. He also made me forget what love actually looked like. I kept waiting for the crash, because somewhere deep inside, I knew this could not last. And then, the phone rang. It was just after 10 p.m. Howard was in the den watching an old war documentary, wrapped in a fleece blanket like he always did. My phone buzzed. Byron's name. But when I picked up, it was not his voice. It was a woman. Her tone was sharp, cold. She asked, "Are you Megan?" I froze. "Who is this?" She said, "Byron has been arrested. We found your number in his call log. Do you know anything about what he was doing last Thursday night?" My heart dropped. Thursday. That was the night I told Howard I was at book club. That was the night I met Byron at that old motel off the interstate. That was the night I thought I had finally gotten away with everything. I hung up the phone without saying another word. Then I turned and saw Howard standing in the hallway. He had heard everything. His face did not twist in anger. He just stared at me like he had seen a ghost. And in that moment, I realized I had become one. Howard did not yell. He did not call me names. He just stood there, quiet, still, shattered. I wanted to explain. I opened my mouth, but nothing came out. Because what could I possibly say? That I was bored? That I wanted to feel alive again? That I threw away 30 years of loyalty for a stranger who never asked me a single meaningful question? Howard walked past me. He did not ask who Byron was. He did not ask why. He just picked up his keys and left the house without saying a word. The silence he left behind was louder than any fight we had ever had. That night, I sat on the kitchen floor, knees pulled to my chest, listening to the hum of the refrigerator. The walls felt like they were closing in. I had never felt more alone, not even when my father died, not even when I miscarried at 29. Because this time, I had done it to myself. The next morning, Howard came home. His face was pale, his eyes red. He looked like a man who had aged a decade overnight. He sat down across from me, placed his wedding ring on the table, and said quietly, "I loved you in all the ways I knew how, but I do not think I ever knew what you really needed." I reached for his hand. He pulled away. Then he said something that broke me in half. "I would have forgiven you, Megan, if you had been in love with him, if it had been real. But you did it for nothing. You gambled our life together for nothing. That is what hurts the most." And he was right. It was not love. It was not even passion. It was hunger for chaos, for recklessness, for something I could not even define. I chased a feeling without a name. And in return, I lost the one man who had always called me home. Byron? He was released after 2 nights. Turns out he had been part of a car theft ring, though he never admitted it to me. When he texted me a week later, I deleted the message, without opening it. Howard moved out 6 months after that night. We spoke once after the divorce papers were signed. He told me he was seeing someone new, a woman who made him feel safe. I told him I was happy for him. I lied, but I said it anyway. Now I live alone. The house is quiet, and I have all the time in the world to think. I have replayed every moment in my mind, every excuse, every lie, every glance at the clock as I slipped out the door. And if you asked me today what I regret most, it is not losing Howard. It is that I became a woman who could not recognize love until she watched it walk away. Sometimes, the danger we chase is not a person. It is a hole inside us we never learned how to fill. And if we are not careful, we will destroy everything good, just trying to feel something at all. Thank you for watching this story until the very end. I know it was raw, and I know some of you will have a lot to say, and I welcome all of it. Please let me know your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear your perspective. Have you ever made a choice you could not explain? Do not forget to like, share, and subscribe to this channel if the story moved you in any way. Your support is what helps us bring more real and powerful stories to light. Until next time, take care of your heart, and take care of the hearts that trust you with theirs.